Hello and welcome to NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi. Today we're coming to you from the Kenya Wildlife Service headquarters here in Nairobi, and this is why we're here. This was the moment a newborn hippo calf and her mother were rescued from being stuck in the mud in Athi River on Sunday the 8th of May. Kenya Wildlife Service officials used tranquilizers, pulled them out of the mud using a crane and released them. All along, residents of Athi River were watching closely, and just a day after the successful rescue, the hungry residents captured the mother hippo. Armed with crude weapons, they butchered her alive and feasted on her meat. Her baby was nowhere to be found. On the 11th of May, hundreds of locals in Meru County slaughtered an elephant that had been electrocuted by a live fence surrounding a farm. It's said to be the fifth elephant to die of electrocution in the area. And on the 21st of April, residents of Nyahururu in Laikipia County pushed an elephant into a ditch, burnt it alive and feasted on its meat. Cases of human-wildlife conflict are evidently fast becoming one of the main threats to both wildlife and communities. Efforts are underway to manage the problem, but more still needs to be done. Well, joining me now is Paul Gathitu, the spokesperson for the Kenya Wildlife Service, who is joining me to answer questions about cases of human-wildlife conflict and possible solutions. Paul, great to have you with us. Clearly, human-wildlife conflict is a massive threat facing our animals today, and it is growing. Take us through some of the statistics that the Kenya Wildlife Service has for at least, say, the first quarter of this year.
Human-wildlife conflict cases have been reported over time, and obviously we actually even do have a database, and we are very clear about what it is that we record. We record threats to humans, we record human injuries, we record human deaths, we record predation, we record crop damage, we record property damage. And for this first quarter, January, February, March, we've recorded 640 cases of threats to humans, where people were either walking, doing their own business, and they come across wildlife, and it causes a threat, and they report that, and we're able to look at it. 460 cases of crop destruction. Again, this is now provided for in the law, so we are able to actually go case by case for each of the counties. Predation cases, another 400 cases or so reported. Injuries to humans, 66 cases reported. Unfortunately, we've also lost quite a number of wildlife, and this is also another area, we call it the animal mortality. And we've lost about 28 animals as a result of these conflicts, because remember, the conflicts are either way. We have 35 cases of property, either whether it's fences or maybe it's dams or things, and we've lost, so far we've lost 16 people out of these conflicts. So it's an area that we need to be able to address together, because it is caused by quite a number of things, including loss of habitat, migratory routes, the issues of dispersal areas for wildlife. Those would be the key, and definitely we need to talk about space for wildlife if we are to go forward.
Paul, as you rightly say, human-wildlife conflict works both ways. It's a threat to both the animals and also to members of the community as well. But if we look at one of the more recent cases, that is in Athi River, the incident where communities killed and butchered and ate hippo meat. That really is a massive threat to our wildlife. There have been a lot of concerns about that incident. Take us through what action the Kenya Wildlife Service took to deal with that case of human-wildlife conflict.
Yeah, in a case like that, of course, the first time that we got the report was when the hippo mother was stuck. And we got stakeholders involved to be able to support, and everybody by Sunday evening were very happy because we had rescued the mother and they had been reunited with the calf. But for the communities to then now get up at 5 a.m. or so and go out there and actually hunt, that is actually illegal. That is the point at which now it moves away from being a human-wildlife conflict case, and it becomes now a case of wildlife crime. We did actually follow it up when we got the report, because of course now with technology they keep posting these pictures, and we see it on WhatsApp, and we followed it through, and we go and we were not able to find any person. So that makes it difficult, particularly because when you are going to take any case to court, it has to be evidence based, and finding nobody is willing to volunteer or to say that they were involved, makes it very difficult for us to follow. But we are following through the case, so that we didn't anticipate that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't expect that they would go back after all that celebration of Sunday. But we have now geared up to be able to bring the teams to have an understanding. First, we want to try and get the communities to appreciate that this wildlife truly does need that space.
Right, because in this case, for example, and in several other cases, this wildlife, for example, this hippo, is being looked at not as a creature of God or an animal that must belong, but it's being looked at as food, as that person's dinner that night, potentially. How is KWS dealing with such a challenge like this to change the mentality of communities?
Obviously, sensitization, going back again and sensitizing the communities, is not really that they don't know. This is the peculiar thing about our behavior as a people, as the Kenyans, is just to go back and just remind ourselves that this wildlife is protected, and therefore it's not accessible in the means that you're using. And this is something that is very peculiar with Kenyans. We've seen every time there's a building collapsing, instead of getting away from it, we are going to it. If a tanker explodes, we want to go and get fuel. If an animal, say a hippo, is hit even by a matatu by accident, we are going towards that particular area. We saw recently, of somebody hanging on a helicopter.
Right.
It's this peculiar behavior that truly needs to stop, and that's the reason we have to continue sensitizing the communities and saying the wildlife will benefit you, and you have opportunities for making money and for making even getting proteins from it. But let's follow the ones that have been prescribed. Let's follow the way the law has provided. We don't need to act outside the law and act in such a barbaric manner like the way they did with this hippo in Athi River.
And how much of a challenge is this proving to KWS in terms of dealing with the communities who have a different outlook?
This truly is now becoming something that is difficult to fathom because we've seen the way that they've behaved in some recent cases, and it's completely unbelievable. We saw in the case of Mohawk, the lion, that we attempted to tell them to keep their space, keep their distance, and they just wouldn't listen. They want to come out and provoke, and they want to ask us, what's in a lion? We've seen many lions before. It's a very strange behavior. When in Laikipia, they saw this elephant falling into this pit, they want to kill it by setting it on fire. Yeah. It's behavior that is unbelievable. We see them again in Meru, and they go out there and they try and get direct current to be flowing where we should be having alternating current, because for the fences, we put them on alternating current so that then the elephants can just get a shock, but not to be electrocuted. Right. But they actually deliberately making sure that the animal is electrocuted. So this kind of behavior is what now we want to try and address by asking the communities to please behave themselves. And this is not common. This is not something that has been going on for many years. It's a new phenomenon that seems to be coming.
In the case of the elephant that was electrocuted in Meru, does KPLC, for example, need to take responsibility, or does the farm owner need to take responsibility? What prosecutions have there been, if any at all?
Part of the problem is to get evidence, in terms of getting somebody when they're in the act, or something that can show or prove beyond reasonable doubt that actually they are the ones who are involved in that particular act.
And in that case, you again struggle to get the evidence?
We struggle to get the evidence in the two incidences. In fact, even in the one for Athi River, we didn't find anybody. We go to Meru, we find nobody is coming up or showing that they had done this.
And is KWS reacting swiftly enough to the incidences?
Absolutely. In fact, the case of Athi River, we went immediately. Immediately we got that news. We saw it on WhatsApp. Even the case of Meru, our own deputy director actually left Nairobi to go and specifically be there on site. And the communities were there, urging and calling for the killing of another different elephant, saying that we want it to be shot and we want it to be brought down. And he said, no, we cannot do this. And if anybody now attempts, you will know that we were here now. At least we can see you. We can relate directly. We can get the direct evidence and we will be able to arrest you. And they stopped.
What effort is KWS putting into educating and sensitizing their rangers when it comes to dealing with unruly community members, like we saw in the case of Mohawk the lion?
Yeah, now this is one of the other areas that we want to try and impress upon our own staff. It's not that they were not trained in terms of dealing with the communities, it's just that this group was overwhelming in terms of the way that they reacted and the numbers that were there. But in terms of dealing with crowds, we always link the communities with the local leadership and with the elders of that particular area. That's why they report. The first time that they get there, they will say, we're here and the purpose is XYZ and would like your cooperation on this matter, and this is what exactly we need to do, and this is what we require of you. So this is explained way in advance, but in cases like that on a Mohawk, they just didn't listen. Yeah. So we are hoping that the engagement that we have now put in place to go to sensitize these communities further and to try and appeal to their sense of coexistence will be able to bear fruits.
So, Paul, then what are some of the solutions going forward? What measures are KWS taking to tackle wildlife conflict?
I think it's clear that we need to be able to sensitize these communities just so that they know that we are going to be extremely firm and very, very strong. We've activated our operations. We've gotten all the wardens now to be on the lookout, particularly because we know that there have also been some interference from climate change impacts, so that the kind of rains we've seen have set the wildlife to go into areas that they were not going before. And we've activated the warden, including now wildlife intelligence, so that we can be able to pick these people and make sure that we deal with them according to the law. That's one point that we want to try and use. We are also using our stakeholders. The Kenya Wildlife Conservancies Association is a fairly new outfit that is putting together all the community landowners who have wildlife on their land. And we have used them now in Narok and just recently, 2-3 days ago, in Amboseli, to be able to now bring, because they bring the landowners together. And these landowners can then now sit and then look at the issues of wildlife and look at where we have conflicts and be able to come up with resolutions that are owned by these communities. And I think that's the second step that we want to try and use. The third area is to try and get all the NGOs that are working in any specific area to be able to come together. And we began just about 3 weeks ago to try and bring some of the NGOs, because they work in those areas, so that then now they can be able to pass this message, mobilize the communities, and be able to put the correct values of this wildlife, because it looks like some of the community members may be thinking that it's just free for all, or maybe it doesn't belong to anybody, but it does belong to all of us, and we that are the custodians, and we definitely have moved gears up, and you'll be seeing a lot of cases of people being arrested because of this crime.
Paul, some of these solutions are reactionary. Are there any preventative measures that the Kenya Wildlife Service is now going to take?
Yes, we do have methods that we deal with this issue, so that we don't wait until we get a report. And we treat the issues of human wildlife conflict cases just more like the way we treat the anti-poaching operations. And that means that we do have elite teams that can be able to now upscale the reactions or the dealing with this matter. The problem animal management unit is the one that deals with the specialized cases, and especially when we have cases of human wildlife conflict affecting communities where we did not anticipate. We get a report from Makueni, for example, and we haven't had that before. So we send this specialized unit, or maybe a team in Savo, and they say these elephants, we're just not sure. They're not responding to the regular way of driving them. So they need some people who can be able to come and talk to them. So this specialized unit is then trained in ways of dealing with communities, dealing with animals, understanding the animal, including understanding the animal anatomy, so that if in case it came that they were to bring down an animal, they're very specific about the areas that they hit, and you've got to be able to take this team as the one that is preventative.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us on NTV Wild Talk.
Asante sana.
Well, when crops in a farm are damaged by elephants after months of hard work, the negative attitude by the farmer towards wildlife is somewhat understandable. When we were in Olpejeta, the Space for Giants organization acted out a skit that demonstrated the plight of the farmer. Have a look.
Hi guys. Hi. Why are you staring at me? Do I look old or my jeans are looking old?
No, you look like a poacher.
You look like a poacher?
Yes.
Okay, if it's all of you, go ahead, laugh at me. But this is what the daily activities we undergo in our farms each and every evening, each and every morning, each and every hour of the day, months and months, hours, years and years, as we try to coexist with elephants and keep our children alive. But at the end of the day, we are basically doing nothing. We depend on the government to give us real food. But anyway, nevertheless, we have to live. I want to try this today. Yesterday, nearly the elephants brought me down with that watchtower. And on Monday, it was the beehives. Yeah, corruption is everywhere. Bees plus elephants. I don't know how they negotiated. As soon as I slept, even the bees slept. Elephants rented in my farm. So I don't know. But yeah, I think let me try the option of chili fence. I think that one will work better. It has the cowbells, so when the elephants come in, the bells will alert me. Even the chili, I think that could be the better one. Let me take a nap before those wee hours of the reef. And if you see them, please alert me.
Oh my God.
My dear.
Where's the elephant?
Where's that elephant? Yeah? I blame whoever brought this ideology of chili smoke. He didn't give us the precautions. Now, even our eyes are irritating. Yeah.
Hey, Jessica, are you seeing the elephant? No, please.
I think whoever introduced this should have introduced the remedy when the chili gets into our eyes.
My people, for how long are we going to suffer, really?
It seems there is no hope of the near end. Things have never changed since I was young.
My people, don't say that. We have electric fences being elected by the government. We have compensation schemes. These are not the same.
Stop mocking us, man. Fence? What are you talking about? It was the fence only the day it was erected. Sooner, these fellow neighbors here, they broke in the fence, sneaking their stocks for pasture. It is only left hanging wires on a bent post and none daring to repair it. Others, they have sold them in the scrap metal.
Stop accusing me for something I know not. And whose this fence are you talking of?
KWS.
Muzungus.
Serikali.
Then, I respect you, my friend. And I've never touched your own fence. My friend, this fence belongs to all of us. It is our responsibility to maintain and repair them. Nebuchadnezzar, and you others, go and look for the bad post. I shall go to the office and get you some wires.
No, really, people, not thinking out of the box, but throwing the box away and thinking without them. It is really maintaining the fence or getting back to our daily normal routines to keep our children alive. Let the owners of the fence do their job. You and the Wazungu sit and hear.
Yes. Don't have an insult to an already injury. My people.
Yeah.
My people.
Yeah.
Let's get to the road. Block the road, and if it means marching to the state house, and by this our grievances will be heard.
Yeah.
All right.
Wakulima musirale.
All right.
Wakulima musirale. Have seen this before and tried it. Demonstrations? What? The worst of it. Tear gas are robbed to us, none bothering us, embarrassment, harassment by the government officials, KWS. No, we are desperate. What are you going to do, man, to keep our children alive? Can you give me something? Really? But now, because it seems nothing to bother us, I think we have to implement our own solution. And it is taking the law into our hands and dealing with elephants without minding the government. I don't think the police or the rangers know our shabbas. We shall kill those elephants down in our farms. We shall do the best we can. There's no way we can sit and watch poverty go with the elephants and the children. And no, we have to kill people. We have to march in and kill something. There's no way it can be like that.
It's the best. A little ragged, but it looks okay. I think the dress is good.
Bando mapambano, bando mapambano, bando mapambano, bando mapambano, bando mapambano.
So really the conflict is real. That demonstration by actors from Space for Giants demonstrating what the farmer goes through. But there are solutions, and more on that in just a moment after the break. But first, here's our wild guess question, an opportunity for you to win an awesome prize. What is the name of the elite Kenya Wildlife Service unit that addresses specialised cases of human-wildlife conflict? What is the name of the elite Kenya Wildlife Service unit that addresses specialised cases of human-wildlife conflict? Use the hashtag NTVWild on Twitter or like our NTV Wild Facebook page and post your answer on the timeline. Private messages won't be considered. The first person to answer correctly wins 2 complimentary nights for 2 at the Tangula Mara Lodge, overlooking the spectacular Mara River, and the rare privilege of being guided by Kenya's most famous guide and camp owner, Jackson Lusea of the Big Cat Diaries. Terms and conditions apply. The winner also gets 1 bottle of wine, courtesy of Wines of the World, and a gift hamper, courtesy of Wildlife Direct. Last week's lucky winner was Husna Liamsi. Welcome back to NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi. Here now is a reminder of our wild guess question. What is the name of the elite Kenya Wildlife Service unit that addresses specialised cases of human-wildlife conflict? What is the name of the elite Kenya Wildlife Service unit that addresses specialised cases of human-wildlife conflict? Use the hashtag NTVWild on Twitter or like our NTV Wild Facebook page and post your answer on the timeline. Private messages won't be considered. The first person to answer correctly wins 2 complimentary nights for 2 at the Tangula Mara Lodge, overlooking the spectacular Mara River, and the rare privilege of being guided by Kenya's most famous guide and camp owner, Jackson Lusea of the Big Cat Diaries. Terms and conditions apply. The winner also gets 1 bottle of wine, courtesy of Wines of the World, and a gift hamper, courtesy of Wildlife Direct. Last week's lucky winner was Husna Liamsi. Now, there are in fact many organisations that have come up with different ways to help mitigate human-wildlife conflict cases, and we'll see some of those in just a moment. But first, I'm joined by someone who deals directly with the community on the ground, and that is Robert Kai. He is the head of community projects at Wildlife Direct. Thanks very much for joining us,
Thanks,
Robert.
Mary.
Now, there has been one particular very successful project that is in Kajiado County. Tell us more about that.
Well, this is an empowerment project. It's a women empowerment project in Amboseli. It's actually dipped as turning challenges into opportunities. We all know the challenges that the communities that lives with elephants or any other wildlife are facing. So, and it was an initiative from the First Lady's office, as a way of to empower women and to continue the goodwill of the community to live again with the same wild animals. So it was. It's basically it's an economic project, That's the angle that we approached it. We thought of a way that the communities, especially the women, can benefit directly from conserving or by the virtue of living with the same wildlife elephants to be particular.
Right, and before we get into the actual nitty-gritties of the project, why was it important to start empowering these women? What was their attitude towards the elephants initially?
Well, there was elephants in the past were viewed in this particular place that we work in Berikani, were viewed as bad news, I could say, because every time there is reported cases of at least 1 or 3 incidences in a night of an elephant going into someone's shamba, or a lion killing someone's stock. And because in Berikani, as well know, is a corridor. It connects Amboseli and Chulu Hills. So there was a lot of bad energy towards the wildlife in the area. Yes.
So Robert, you mentioned that of course one of the enterprises is beadwork, and I can proudly say that I'm wearing a jacket made by one of these women, and honestly I've got to say I love it, and many people have complimented it. So tell us more about the beadwork that the women get up to.
Well, this is a very easy work for the women to do because they've done beadwork for the long time. That is it's almost every Maasai woman's hobby. And now that they can make money out of it, I mean, it's so amazing and it's so exciting to them to know that they can, there's a new line of creativity. They're used to beading bracelets and necklaces and all that, but never had, the creativity of making jackets. So this is where we came in and told them, hey, why don't we try something else different? And they came up, this was just trials. We never knew that it would be such an amazing product.
Well, how successful has it been?
Well, they're making sales out of it. I think that's how you can measure success. They're already making a lot of money out of it. From the denim jackets alone, close to 200,000 shillings in a month. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And so you can imagine how
yeah, business is booming for them.
Business is so, it's not business as usual, as I could say, because of their creativity and because of their energy and goodwill and because of the project ownership. They really own the project and they've taken it, as their own responsibility to make things happen.
And now, Robert, how does this link to elephants? How have the women's attitudes towards wildlife changed thanks to enterprises such as this?
Yeah, like I said earlier on, we're trying to sustain a good relationship by ensuring that the goodwill from the same women is still there. The worst thing that can happen to conservation is when you have a community or a group of people that live with wildlife that they don't even trust and they don't care about. So how this project is helping them is that you have people who are making money out of a project that is aimed to conserve. You have people that are now focusing more on production of making more than 200,000 shillings in a month than selling potatoes or tomatoes, practicing horticulture that they used to do, that is even fueling more human-wildlife conflict. That means, focus is shifting from agriculture to now business that has less conflict or less impact to the environment.
And how has this impacted cases of human-wildlife conflict?
Well,
in that region? In
that particular place, we are working with 137 people who are mothers, who are the homemakers or who are responsible of their own daily activities. So you have the mother who is now making money out of conservation. What would you think will be preaching to the kids or to everybody else around the village? So that's the message we're trying to spread around. This is a very small percentage, I could say, from Mberikani, but the impact that is creating, the awareness that the women themselves are creating around, the good attitude or the positivity of accommodating more projects that sustains wildlife conservation is phenomenal.
Right. So Robert, if somebody out there that's watching wants to purchase one of these jackets, where can they do that, and how much is it going to cost? Because this one was in fact gifted to me.
Yes, you're very lucky that you had it as a gift because we were not in business by that time. Okay, so through the support of Wildlife Direct, we helped the women to develop an online shop or a website. It's called oltomenadupo.com.
Okay. It's
already running. You can make your orders through the website, or else you can also contact Wildlife Direct, or else you can also visit Kiko Romeo shops in at Yaya Center. They are the main partners for the women, for the denim jackets business. So They are all over, and right now the RTI they are retailing at 9,000 shillings.
Wow.
Yeah, on the website you can get at 5,500, 4,500, depending on the size and what you choose.
Right.
Yes, among other products, not only the jackets.
Okay, and of course, to many watching, that may seem like a lot of money, and indeed it is, but the point is, remember, it is really going to a very, very worthy cause. Making a jacket like this, beading it, certainly does require some skill, but the main thing is that it is helping women in that community understand conservation issues.
It's actually acting as a kind of a compensation,
Right.
model.
Right.
You have people making money and forgetting about the bad news that the elephants
Exactly. When did this project start? And are there plans to expand it?
Yeah, this project started in June last year. It's almost just turning 1 year.
Yeah.
In the next 1 month. So yes, there's of course, this is just a pioneer project. We just wanted to see if it's working, if it's going to work out, if it's going to be part of the solution providing. And so we are only working in Mbirikani, but remember Mbirikani is just one of the 7 group ranges in Amboseli ecosystem. So our plan is to upscale the project to cover the whole other 6 remaining group ranges. That means, yeah, we're working towards, upscaling it, definitely.
Robert, thank you so much. Most definitely, I will encourage people to buy this jacket because look at it, it certainly is really, really beautiful, and the proceeds from it will go to a very good cause. Thanks for joining us on NTV Wild Talk.
Mary.
So working directly with communities to empower them certainly is one solution to mitigate cases of human-wildlife conflict. But there are other solutions as well. When we were up in Olpejeta for the Giants Club Summit, the organisation Space for Giants demonstrated various techniques, some that have worked and some that haven't worked as well when it comes to keeping elephants away from farms. Have a look.
Now the basis for them is that they're easy to make, that they're cheap, that they're accessible, that they don't require too much labor. That's the thinking behind it, but it's not always the case. So when an elephant is on your land, how do you get him off your land? So firstly, we have this fantastic watchtower here. It's probably the most expensive of the local farm-based deterrents. Might cost you $100 to build. Matugi, if you would, up there. The idea is that the farmer spends his night up there with a solar-powered spotlight and he shines down looking for the elephant in his farm. When he spots the elephant, he reacts by trying to shine the light on it, making noise and chasing it away. Matugi, do you see anything? Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Yes. That's the concept of the watchtower. Now, there's a few issues with it. You can imagine that a farmer has been in the farm for 10 hours working really hard already. The last thing he wants to do is spend another 10 hours up there in a cold, windy night like what characterizes Laikipia. So this is why uptake amongst local communities has been fairly low. Understandable. Next, we want to show you the chili dung briquettes. As Wanjao will demonstrate, it's just a matter of getting a kg of chilies, mixing it with 2 kgs of wet elephant dung. And elephant dung will be readily available in these areas where there's conflict. You mix it together, you place it in a mold, you let it dry in the sun, and after a few hours, the idea is that you've got this solid briquette like this. Now, you place these in strategically located fires around your farm, and the idea is that the active ingredient in chili, the capsaicin, will burn and the noxious smoke will go towards the elephant and irritate them. Now, the very basis of this method is that the wind is towards the elephants, but the prevailing wind is not always to your advantage. So there's very often cases where the wind is blowing straight into your farm, into your fence, into your watchtower, and you end up blinding yourself, irritating yourself. So it doesn't always work. Thank you. Thirdly, I want to show you the banger stick. Now, these are very simple appliances made from a piece of wood, a piece of rubber, a special piece of tubing. The idea is that you load matchstick's head into this metal tubing, then you load it and it's cocked. And if I may allow Wahome to demonstrate one of these, please block your ears. That would be a good idea. That's it. There we go. As you can see, the elephant is terrified and runs away. Now, these are great. They make a really loud noise. But here in Laikipia, we've had a problem that the local administration has banned their implementation because of fears that they might be used as weapons, abused, robberies, livestock theft and intimidation. So you've got to be very aware of your environment before applying something like this, and here it's not allowed. Then I want to take you and show you some measures that stop the elephants from going onto your farm in the first place. Now here we have a chili fence. As you can see, nothing special. A couple of posts, a tree, a thorn bush, whatever you have. You string some sisal rope between them, and the idea is you apply a mixture of chili, old engine oil and grease onto the fences, and these white cloths in between. Now the idea is that the smell of the chilies will deter the elephant. If it doesn't deter the elephant, you've got the alarm, the cowbells, which are on the rope, which will alert the farmer as to the fact that an elephant is on his farm. Once again, you can imagine it's not the nicest material to have to apply to a fence, and local communities have given us feedback saying, oh, well, it comes into our eyes and on parts of the body where, we're not going to mention, and it's very uncomfortable. So this is one of the measures that hasn't been taken up a lot, just because it requires too much labor and too much time. If it rains, it simply washes off. So you've got to keep working on it. Finally, we have a beehive fence. Now here, again, simple wire beehive box. The idea is that the elephant approaches the beehive fence. Okay, so the elephant approaches the beehive fence. As it comes into contact with the wire, the beehive box, which can be a specially designed box or a local simple log design, shakes violently, alerting the bees to a problem. They swarm outside, they chase after the intruder, they sting him on the ears, on the trunk and all kinds of sensitive areas, and it stops the elephant from propagating. This has had some limited success in Kenya and less so in other parts of southern Africa. It requires skilled labor. You've got to work on the bees. They need water to survive. In higher altitude, it's cold, they are less active, things like that. These are all important to bear in mind. So I think a simple overview is that labor requirement, critical. If there's not enough labor, local communities are not going to take it up, just because no one is there to do it. Secondly, financial capital. While you might perceive them to be very cheap, we've also had situations where a cowbell is stolen by a passing pastoralist, it's never replaced. There is no financial capital. Thirdly, you use an assembly of these measures. In isolation, none of them are as effective. But if you combine some of them, you have a greater chance of keeping elephants off your land. There's got to be early warning systems, there's got to be some vigilance, and there's got to be an immediate response. And lastly, like Lauren said, elephants habituate. They are hugely intelligent. Once they learn, it's not a threat, it's not going to kill them, the game is up.
Now, fencing off areas to create a boundary between land for the community and land for the wildlife certainly has been tried and tested. But is it a long-term viable solution? Let's find out.
The elephants are smart, and it's fences for them, or for most animals, is a thing that evolves. You can make a fence work for a few years, but eventually the elephants will get smart. They'll find a way of getting around it. So you have to redesign or improve it in some way to stop them again. So it's a constant battle between them and us of how we can make the fences effective. When I first came here, we had the job of putting in a perimeter fence, which was designed not only to keep elephants but also to demarcate the conservancy and to basically keep all the wildlife in and to keep human and livestock out. So we had a very elaborate big fence like the one you see behind me here. But of course the elephants soon learned how to break that one. And over the years we've had to improve it. We have a system here now where instead of live and earth wires, we have live and semi-live, so that if the elephant breaks one wire, the rest of the fence will still stay live. That discourages them from breaking any more wires. Also, we developed these outriggers, these wires that stick out, which are live, which has been very effective because it stops the elephants getting up to the fence to break the wires and also to push the posts over. That's enabled us to reduce costs by using less wires and smaller diameter posts. Here we've shown just 2 samples because different requirements. This one is purely an elephant fence, but will still allow the movement of livestock and any other wildlife underneath it, and effectively stop the elephants. We say effectively, it does, 90%, 95%, but we even get big elephants that get down on their knees and can get underneath the fence if they want to. So nothing is bulletproof. The third one we have here is opposite to this one. It's still designed to stop elephants, which it does fairly effectively, but it also now is designed to stop the movement of livestock and other bigger wildlife, but still allows smaller game and other animals to pass through it. All these fences are all powered by solar, and we try to maintain a minimum of 7,000 volts through the fencing to be effective against the elephants. These fences cost, this big one costs in the region of about $13,000 a kilometer. These other ones cost around about 10. But whatever money you invest in a fence, if you don't have the wherewithal to maintain it, frankly, don't build it. So much money just gets wasted in fences that don't get maintained, and once they're broken, the money is just totally wasted. It costs between $800 and $1,000 a year to maintain a kilometer of fence. But that does include patrolling the fence daily. Go and repair it wherever necessary. You have to maintain the grass underneath so the fence doesn't short. So the cost of materials, the cost of labor, the cost of transport, that's what it's costing to maintain these kind of fences. So they're not cheap, and they need to be, you need to be on the ball, because you need to be constantly looking at ways and means of improving them.
All right, and now it's time for our Wild Pick segment, where we showcase some of your photos that you sent in that demonstrate that you have a great appreciation for Mother Nature. Here now are some of your photos. Beatrice Nyariara sent in this photo that was taken in West Pokot. She was wearing a t-shirt that says "Only Elephants." Why does she wear this t-shirt? She says it's to trigger conversation, and then she explains to friends and strangers that elephants are worth more alive. Then there's Esther Susan Mudhoni, who sent this picture taken in Karura Forest. She was posing by a tree and had gone to the forest for a nature walk and a bike ride, and she also enjoyed seeing the monkeys. Nelson Tunoy sent in this photo that was taken in Malindi. He was holding a snake, and why did you do that, Nelson? Well, you were checking off your bucket list of things to do. I wonder how many of you have bucket lists and what's on them. Do send your photos in. And Jerry, you took this photo in Mamba Village. You were holding a tortoise, and why were you holding it? So the kids could get a better view. Of course, educating the children is always important. And Jackie Omar, you took this photo at the Sagana Grand River Camp. You had gone there to camp and you were posing by the river. Why? Because you say you wanted to swim in the river and that you eventually did. Some great snaps there, and if you want your photos to be shown on NTV Wild Talk, all you need to do is send in a photograph that demonstrates that you take an interest in the environment or in wildlife. Here are the instructions you need to follow. Just like our NTV Wild Facebook page and send in your photo via private message. But remember, you must include your full name. Tell us where the photo was taken, what you were doing and why. So get out there and get clicking, and your photo could feature in our next show.